Hello. In this lesson I want to talk to you about the major scale. Now, the major scale is the most important foundation that you need as a musician. Everything else is derived from the major scale, from other scales like minor scales, diminished scales, building chords, making chord progressions that sound great, playing all the right notes in any key, no sour notes, stuff like that. So at the end of this group of lessons, you'll have a thorough understanding of the major scale and how to apply it to your guitar, as well as be able to play the major scale in any key, anywhere on the fretboard. This knowledge is going to improve your composition skills, your improv skills, your overall playing, really everything exponentially. And it's easier than you may think. It seems like a lot, but don't be intimidated. If you're a beginner, this is going to put you miles ahead of guitarists who've been playing longer than you but never bothered to learn it. And if you've been playing for a while but never got into this stuff, then by the end I guarantee you'll be kicking yourself for waiting so long. So let's get into it. Before we really get started, I'd like to define a few terms for those of you who may be new. First, a scale. A scale is simply a series of notes with set intervals, usually spanning over one octave. And we're going to be referring to those intervals as whole steps and half steps. A whole step is simply 2 frets. 1 to 3. That's a whole step. And a half step is just 1 fret. 1 to 2, for example. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. Now the way we're going to learn these is with 7 different patterns. We're going to learn them one at a time. They're all 3 notes per string, so that keeps things pretty uniform. And this isn't the only way to learn the major scale. It's certainly not the only way to play the major scale. But for me, this was the most beneficial, so I hope that you find it the same. All of these patterns will connect together. We'll be referring to those patterns by their modal names. The first one is called Ionian. It starts on the root note, which is the first note of the scale. In these videos, we're going to be working in the key of F major, but as I said earlier, you can apply this knowledge to any key by simply starting the Ionian pattern on the root note that you want to be in the key of. So, the F major scale contains the following notes: F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Now notice the intervals there. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B flat is a half step. B flat to C is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. And E to F is a half step. Now, these intervals are not going to change no matter what key you're in. So what that means is basically if you learn this in one key, then you're essentially learning it in every key. So to review, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. I'm going to say it again. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Remember that. So on one string, first note, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now if you wanted to do it in another key, say G major, just start on G and use the same set of intervals. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So, back to F. So, when we play the Ionian pattern, the notes and the intervals are the same as playing it on one string like I just did. But we use different strings so that we can keep our hand in the same position. And so that just keeps things simpler. I'd recommend that you practice what I just did a couple times, do it on one string, and get a feel for the sound of it, as well as just the intervals. And maybe do it on another string too. Do it on all of the strings. And when you're ready, come back and we'll start the first pattern. So, the Ionian pattern goes like this. 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 2, 3, 5. 2, 3, 5. 3, 5, 6. 3, 5, 6. When you practice these, I recommend that you use strict alternate picking. And if you don't know what that is, alternate picking is when you pick down, and then up, and then down, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And even when you change strings, you maintain that strict down, up, down, up, down, up. And when you start playing this, you're going to realize that that style of picking really lends itself to the 3-note per string way that we're going to be learning this. So when you play it ascending, start with the downstroke, down, up, down, and then when you go to the next string, this is an upstroke, and then down, up, next string is a downstroke, so on and so forth. Alright, and when you go to play it descending, I recommend that you start with an upstroke. It just, for me, it feels like it makes it easier. You'll see when you try it. You'll wind up closer to the next string. If you were to start with a downstroke, then when it came time to switch strings, you would be picking down, and then you would have to switch to a string that's actually up. So if you just start with an upstroke, then your pick's already headed in the right direction. And this is just good habit to be in, especially if you are like me and you like playing fast, you know, guitar solos and stuff like that. You really need to pay attention to that economy of motion. So yeah, start with an upstroke when you're playing descending. Alright, so one more time. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5, 6. Now, you'll notice there's a couple F's in here. Obviously, the first one is the root note, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So there's 7 notes in there, and then we wind up back on the F, just 1 octave higher. So F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So back on the root note here. So we got F, F, F. Now, as you're learning these patterns, a lot of learning guitar and scales and stuff is sort of muscle memory. It's really just a matter of doing it a bunch of times, you know. But that's not to say that you want to just sit there and mindlessly just fly through it. At the very least, keep it in the back of your head where the root notes are. And if you want to take it a step further, think about the rest of the notes too, out loud or in your head. Just think, you know, F, G, A, etc. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. And you'll realize a little further down the line how this will help you, and we'll talk about that in a later video. But for now, I would just like you to start to get familiar with that pattern. You are going to be practicing this and using this for the rest of your life as a musician. So there's no rush to memorize it. You know, play it a couple times a day, ascending and descending, alternate picking, and you'll have it memorized in no time. So yeah, if you found this helpful, then like, favorite, subscribe, whatever, and be sure to check out the next video. Thanks for watching.